first map here of the TakeOver 2. NIP, the ball's in their court. It's going to be Zappis on the Tracer. Mafu on the Soldier 76 to come in with 2 tanks.
They're still running the Reinhardt. They're still keeping Fragi on this position, which is can be really kind of... You can feel useless at some points when you're being dove on by a Genji, a Tracer, and a Winston. So he's going to have to really either get a lot of swings off or maybe get a couple of decent charges. We can already see NIP, they poise position onto the point, but they have to worry about destro on this high ground. That's a dismantle somehow, and they don't really have anyone who can get there except hymzi.
Yeah, Zuppehw's giving him a lot of damage on that Zenyatta, but he now himself is being taken low. Cyclowns going to give a lot of space here and try and use iuKeEe to draw someone out of NIP here and make them get aggressive, but Zuppehw and Zappis already getting the picks in. Nicely done. Zappis, obviously, you can see him going straight in towards the Hunter's Lodge. Davin's actually very much struggled to try and get a read on where the NIP players are. He comes in now, but it's a little bit too late in the piece. Forced to recall. Now it's to take cover.
Trying to stall for time a little bit with destro getting that pick. It actually might allow them to turn this point back around, but hymzi and kyynel both just going to be chiming in, trying to maybe maintain his high ground position where destro's trying to go for, and they've been finally able to force him out of that position. NIP, strong start, especially out of Zappis, picking up 2 initial kills to open up that point.
Yeah, nicely done. Of course, a big shout out to our observers for this event. I think we've got 3. 2 of them, one is Eichenwalde, for God's sake. Like, obviously, German national representative of the World Cup, and the other is the lovely iuKeEe as well, who's helping out in a long way. I believe there is one more. I did forget who it was, so big love to those guys. Let's hope it all goes smoothly, but NIP pretty comfortable. Their Zappis opened that one up pretty easily. Now they're into that second phase. You can see straight away, hymzi's going to take to the skies. We're going to see him play a lot more Diva instead of the Roadhogger he used to play so much. We can see destro's forced to drop down from his high ground pretty quickly. In the meantime, hymzi again trying to knock people off the high ground, get control. Krytox trying to go in on his own, but mafu seemed to be able to clean him up pretty comfortably there with the Helix Rocket. But Davin, that's a big pulse bomb. 2 kills to come out. Fragi and mafu are down, and Zappis now trying to make ends meet. It's going to be a transcendence from Zuppehw.
And kyynel actually does have Sound Barrier too to follow up with it. They do need to maintain some sort of support ults just to make this point, or at least keep this payload pushing. But you can see hymzi in the face of destro, getting him down to about half HP, trying to force him out of this one, but still trying to maintain his high ground position. What was really interesting is that Krytox was the only one initially on the payload, and he got picked off immediately. But if Davin didn't hit that double pulse bomb, that could have been really bad for Cyclowns.
Could have been much worse. I mean, hymzi did quite a good job actually keeping both supports of Cyclowns up on that high ground, and even iuKeEe was actually kind of unwilling to drop down. It's quite a big commitment, of course, given the height and the fact that you can't get back up in a hurry.
That trance.
Yeah, not sure about that one, Pox.
So either Pox got stick there and he was forced to use it, or that was a little bit of a misclick. But hymzi over the top gets himself a double kill with the self-destruct.
Yeah, nicely done for hymzi and mafu as well. It looks like Cyclones are making a couple bloopers here, and CrusaDe now hoping to do something about it. He trying to get good position for a boot, but he's going to have to just skate on the wall for the time being and try and get back. Zappis just checks him over the edge to make sure he can't come back. And hymzi finds iuKeEe as well. And NIP hardly even stopped here. It does seem like Cyclones are in disarray. I don't know if it's the land conditions. I don't know if it's the opposition they're facing, but they're struggling, and NIP have more than 5 minutes on the clock for this last stage. That's huge.
Yeah, they just need to regroup right now because you have the Dragon Blade out of Krytox, and you have Zuppehw who cannot respawn with the Transcendence. So this could be really big for them, just to buy a little bit of time and just to slow down this pace that NIP have put up. Because remember, time is going to be a major factor, especially with 5 minutes left on the clock here for NIP.
Krytox goes in, gets a shield in the Dragon Blade, but he gets popped almost immediately. He's already down to 50 HP. The Sound Barrier was way too late for Cyclowns. It wasn't there. I don't know what they were trying to get their DPSs in there, but Krytox is cut down pretty comfortably, and so is Davin. They've lost most of their damage. In fact, arguably they're 2 big players, and NIP are going to continue to sweep this up.
So Krytox goes in, forces Sound Barrier enemy team, and he tries to back away, but while being backed away, while dashing out of this one, Fragi hits a triple Earth Shatter to lock them down and to immediately pick this man off. Davin, you're the one with an ultimate here on the defending side. You need to hit someone, and he's finally going to get on top of the payload.
Yeah, eventually. It might be a little bit too late. Zuppehw's going to come in with the Transcendence, though, when iuKeEe's up on that payload. hymzi from up above, that's dirty. The self-destruct doesn't catch on towards anyone, but he's able to resuit up and rejoin the fight. Davin needs to work around the outside to get some picks here, but Krytox, iuKeEe, CrusaDe all drop very quickly now. A desperate attack visor out from mafu just to make sure they're cleared, and that's 4 minutes and 3 seconds in the time mate for NIP. They completely whitewash Eichenwalde, and for Cyclowns, you've got to be shell-shocked.
I'm trying to think if they had one winning fight for Cyclowns there at all. I mean, they had a couple of ultimates to use.
They got a double pulse bomb kill.
I mean, they got a double pulse bomb kill that stalled NIP for a few seconds there, but beyond that, there was no real synergy, I guess, between the DPS. I mean, we didn't really see Davin and Krytox and iuKeEe actually attack the same kind of target. And if even at that, iuKeEe would just kind of get caught off a little bit too far in the backlines. I'm not sure. There has to be a little bit of miscommunication on the side of their team because they're just not looking like a team that can dive together, and you can't play dive if you can't communicate correctly.
Interesting as well. We often sort of see iuKeEe sitting back a little bit. I mean, at least from what I've seen in that last round, he seemed quite reluctant to really get into the fight, and whether it was Krytox following him or him following Krytox, it very much seemed to be Krytox jumping in. Now, on occasion though, we did see Krytox jump in, get a shield, get the Dragon Blade. He forces a Sound Barrier, but then, you know, Krytox's team Soundbearer comes a little bit late. He gets sort of gunned down. So it does seem like that cohesion is maybe not as present here early.
Well, I can understand Lucas sitting back because it's not really necessarily up to the Winston player to choose a target and dive in on it. You're kind of dependent on your DPS because you're the one that has to wait for them to get in a position to attack. So once they say, yeah, let's hit this target, then you jump in together and you know, collapse on top of that person. So him sitting back's okay. It also kind of forces, I guess, NFP to check a lot more corners and stop Zappis from being really aggressive on the Tracer, from trying to pick anyone off if he sits, you know, back on his supports to help keep them alive. But nonetheless, I mean, I think we're both in agreement. Communication's a little bit lacking, but we're going to see that even more potentially here on the attacking side, where communication is even more.
This is actually an old NIP feel with a splash of new, because normally it was mafu that was actually playing Nazaya pretty much entirely. Now Zappis is going to be on the roll. Mafu's a 76 here, but this is pretty vintage stuff. hymzi going to be on that Roadhog here, so maybe a comfort comp, maybe something they've just crafted for this kind of situation. And on the attacking side, it is going to be a triple DPS dive here. We saw this from Cyclowns on defense. It didn't work out. Let's hope it's better on attack, Jason.
I do like the Nano Boost Soldier combo yet again, because we haven't really seen too much of that with everyone playing the Zenyatta and the Lucios, but I don't know, Krytox is kind of a man to watch here. Pox as well, if you can get a Discord target and again communicate with his DPS players to focus that man down. But hymzi, one of the best Roadhogs in Europe, he's gonna have a chance to show what Roadhog can really do.
You can see in the top corner of the screen, Cyclowns are trying to, you know, get up these stairs and maybe sort of even threaten that they might try and go around the back, but they still need to deal with mafu out in the distance. He got taken very low early by Pox, but that's the first pick. Krytox gets hit by a fire strike, and look, he immediately just gets the heck out of dodge. Destro replies though, finds mafu with the headshot. Davin as well knows he needs to make himself scarce on this point, lest a Roadhog hook snafu him up. Of course, 5 players up for NIP at the moment after losing mafu, and Zuppehw is also going to go down to Davin. So this is actually almost a bit of a staggered dive coming in from Cyclowns, and so far so good. hymzi tries to turn it back around, but CrusaDe gets his second kill of this fight, and Davin's now much more free to move and work.
And crucially, Pox, he actually went on towards the high position. He got chased down by Fragi, but you cannot ever underestimate what a Zenyatta can do for your team with Discord orbs and his damage alone. And by staying alive, he kept discording different targets, and they're able to secure those kills, not giving NIP really a chance to heal up those targets or keep those targets alive, especially if you're a hymzi playing the Roadhog, who's now switched over to a D.Va. So obviously losing quite a big amount of ultimate percent, but he does have the counter to destro, even Pox a little bit.
Yeah, that's right. We'll see what he can do. I mean, D.Va is just incredibly good right now. For multiple reasons we can go over later on, but here you can see NIP are getting aggressive. They're holding a forward defense. They're going to force the transcendence out of Pox quite early in the fight. Zuppehw's low. He's used a nano boost as well briefly earlier on. Somehow Fragi survives. He drops down now on that Winston, obviously switching off the Reinhardt. Another new look for him in particular.
But this is big because he's Transcendent. Zappis has his ultimate, his Graviton Surge ready to go, and they have really no solid counter for that. Yeah, you're gonna have kyynel who's gonna, or actually you're gonna have CrusaDe who has a Sound Barrier, but I don't know if the Sound Barrier is gonna be enough out of the raw damage they can put down, especially if you're Fragi, who can electrocute 6 targets at once.
Yeah, don't remind me, Jason. Still, it looks like Cyclowns have been able to deal with this to a degree, but they're not making any progress. They have been stopped here for quite some time. This is a stall for NIP because they know there are so many more opportunities to get back and set up in this, I guess, this hill phase, we'll call it, that they can afford to fight there. They can afford to maybe even try to draw some ultimates out. They managed to get Poxes at the very least, but Cyclowns have managed to get themselves 5 ults ready to go. So this could be quite deadly. This would be the combo that they're looking to make. Bear in mind, no nano boost for Krytox here or for Destro. Pulse Bomb just came out from Davin there as well. Zappis actually has a Graviton ready to go, and NIP almost a little bit surprised as to where the setup here is for Cyclowns.
I'm surprised NIP was even able to get back on the high ground considering we had full control for Cyclowns there, but there's a Graviton out of Zappis, going to catch 2 and 3, but the Sound Barrier has been popped.
Yeah, that's right, and actually kept Cyclowns alive for long enough here. In fact, it's just chiming now for the moment. Krytox finds Zappis with the Dragon Blade, and Pox forced to back away. That's a big Winston in his face. Fragi's going to come straight on through, and CrusaDe just trying to, I guess, hinder as much as he possibly can. You can see the NIP kind of being pushed back into the corner, but the payload is not moving. That's the most important part right now. That's why NIP are committing to these kind of fights. And they're going to have a couple ultimates to come into the next one anyway.
And Zuppehw is going to get picked off eventually, being chased down by Davin and by iuKeEe, but they still bought a lot of time. I mean, it's been, what, about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes of time just from fighting on the payload alone, not necessarily going for any crazy kind of combos. But now we've seen Zappis switch over to a Tracer, which just got picked up by Pox. We got Zuppehw ready with the Nano Boost on top of the Tactical Visor out of mafu. So they definitely have a last stand chance here, especially without any real big combo coming out of the side of Cyclowns. Like, they don't have a Nano Boost Visor, they don't have a Nano Boost Blade. They do have the Pulse Bomb, though, to Davin if he can get himself in a position to use it.
Well, I mean, they've got good ults to work with, to be honest. The Transcendence could be quite important in this next fight, especially when mafu goes Tac Visor. Destro has far better positioning here, but he's struggling to find a target. mafu goes low, and now we're going to see Fragi try and jump forward. It's going to be mafu's Tac Visor coming out now. He was lucky. I'm pretty sure he got naded or something to keep him alive there. But it's a messy fight. It's back and forth stuff. CrusaDe manages to finish off mafu, and it's just hymzi on the payload right now. Zappis trying to run on in and keep this one going, but Davin goes big, and also CrusaDe continuing to get involved. Cyclowns able to stave off NIP's aggression and get to the last phase with 3 minutes 50 remaining. This is not too bad from them, or maybe it's just not so great from NIP. Too early to tell.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that exact same thing. Is it NIP not playing well, or is it Cyclowns playing extremely well in this situation? I think Krytox so far for Lelouch, I mean, we're going to be critical of a DPS player because you see the DPS play on the kill feed, you see the damage that he's doing. He hasn't been that effective. I haven't really seen many 1v1 pickoffs, but NIP's not given a position to even make that one work. He's had a blade up for quite a long time, but they just don't have the ability to use it yet,
I think it's like
or they even need it.
It's like a second or third time that Zappis has been picked off by the Zenyatta. Pox, nicely done to open up that fight. And you can see how much more freedom Davin has now when he doesn't have to deal with that other Tracer at all. This payload's rolling. NIP need to come up with a response, and they've got no ultimates to work with, whereas Cyclowns have a ton of them. Pulse Bomb comes out from Davin. That doesn't find its target, and mafu can at least respond and get the damage back to him, but that payload is sailing. We got a Dragon Blade available. Destro's going to go Tac Visor. hymzi preventing a lot of that damage coming through, and now the sound barrier out for both teams here. NIP had a good time, but they need to keep this payload out the square.
I mean, the respawns are going to be always better for NIP here as long as they keep picking up kills. With Luka going down and Davin before by mafu, who's just still picking up kill after kill after kill, they're going to stave off this aggression, and they're going to have a second chance, but they did sure use a hell of a lot of ultimates. Zuppehw, the only even close at the moment at 97%, and Fragi has switched over from the Winston to the Reinhardt to give a little bit more frontline control.
To be quite honest with you, Jason, NIP kind of didn't really have any ultimates in that fight at all. I mean, you can see they're now just sort of coming up. So the fact that they managed to weather that storm, for me, is quite impressive. Now they're almost on even ult economy in many aspects. So you can see it. Luki went very low at the start of this fight. This could be quite nasty. mafu with attack visor is going to force the entirety of Cyclowns away. They actually don't have the defensive ultimates to deal with this in 2 full. mafu finds a double, and that's definitely going to stop them in their tracks.
It's like the second time mafu's been able to take Davin down with just a couple of Helix rockets to his face. I mean, you're talking about the fight before and what happened with no ultimates, how they held on to it. All came down to that Mad mafu picking up that kill into Davin. You eliminate pretty much, I don't want to say 50%, but a quite high amount of their damage that they can potentially put out, especially their kill potential if you pair it in with Pox. And they hold strong, and now Fragi, using the shield, is trying to lock down a major area, forced to go through these chokes.
Both teams have transcendence for this next fight. hymzi's self-destruct, we haven't actually seen a heck of a lot of it. On this side of the map, you can see Krytox able to pick off Zappis here, so this is, yeah, and I think NIP need to back off big time. They really need to get back here. I don't mind them throwing this in here. He's actually going to pick up Luki with that kill. So hymzi responds with his self-destruct of his own. It also means he can swoop back up and get back into the fight here. Oh, Krytox gets shut down. That's a lovely Helix rocket.
You see, though, he wanted to get greedy for that. I mean, obviously, killing the Zenyatta is huge because that means no trance, right? And you're able to push in. Destro doesn't have his Graviton just yet, but it makes sure you can guarantee more and more kills. But maybe getting a little bit too cocky there. Pox does get hymzi, though, on the Zenyatta, getting that D-suit onto him. But they still don't have the finish-off potential. They don't have the ability to close out this game just yet. They have a hell of a lot of ultimates, but that Grav Surge could lock this one down.
Oh, Fragi coming out of nowhere there. Pox almost was forced to Transcendence to avoid being taken out of that fight. Still, his team benefits from the healing all the same. A Graviton Surge, that's 4 men, 5 men caught up in there from NIP. And Destro comes in with 3. That's really going to hurt, and that might be what they're looking for to clean this up. He switches from the 76, Jason, goes to Zaya, and that's a shock and awe finish if I've ever seen one.
And the big thing about that finish, too, is the fact that they finished with time. If they had no time left remaining, it means NIP had 4.5 minutes just to get that first checkpoint on the initial point. So honestly, really well done by them. And it came down to the grab, just like we were talking about. They didn't have that final umph. They needed to get Destro another 20-30% on his grab. Gets it off, gets 4 men together, gets himself a triple kill, and closes out that map.
Mate, we're not even one game in. We're one map in, not even that, to the TakeOver already, you know, excessively yelled. I can tell this is going to be a good weekend, Jason, no doubt about it. Oh dear. Yeah, sorry about your ears there, but that was a nice little turnaround there from Destro to make ends meet at the end.
I can see you sitting next to mafu there.
Me? Hey, Lamau? Oh, in the reflection, I see. Yeah, so 1 minute is what's in the time bank here for Cyclones. So realistically, NIP have still done a very good job. I think Cyclones were on a decent build-up of momentum. They had ult advantage pushing, going into that last push where they had about 3 minutes and 30 seconds. So they squandered that opportunity, and that's going to make it very much more difficult here to try and keep this going. The upside, I guess, for them is that they, in the same way that NIP, were both very effective on their first attacks here on this first point. Once you get rolling, obviously, with that payload, you can really start to put pressure on your opponents. But 1 minute.
You see a switch-up, though, for NIP. If you look, Zuppehw is going to be playing the Zenyatta. And we're seeing the Lucio comp. We're not seeing the Ana Lucio like we saw just in the prior defending half. So it looks like NIP have adapted their style a little bit. Maybe want a little bit more kill potential when it comes to Krytox and Davin trying to go for any sort of flinks. But they have the dive comp here for Cyclowns. But they don't have the new typical dive comp with the D.Va. So it makes me wonder, can Destro potentially play D.Va?
I mean, it's the 2-2-2 here. I think I've seen Destro play deeper before. I don't think that's the issue. Maybe they're just hoping to charge up a grab within a minute and go for it. It might be a difficult one here. Early on, though, Fragi and hymzi take quite a lot of damage. Destro, you can see, is pretty well charged up. They're in a good position right now, Cyclowns, to pressure this continually. Destro, it's a deft little shield on towards leuKeEe to make sure he's fully charged up for the fight. And now they're going to come in. hymzi's low. He gets healed up very quickly. He takes a breather, but he manages to pick off Davin more importantly. That hook was very crucial. Destro now has to back away. I know, people. We didn't see a lot of that fight, mostly on Destro's point of view there, but now this is how it stands. NIP haven't lost anyone here. This is now dangerous for Cyclowns, Jason.
Yeah, this is their final push here. They have Krytox, they have a blade ready to go. And Zuppehw has no responses. He does not have his Transcendence available. And Krytox is finally able to pick up one, but can he turn it into more is the real question.
Well, he has to. There's no other choice here, but zappis comes in and shuts him down. And no, it looked like Davin kind of threw his pulse bomb at the point and hoping that would do something to keep it triggered, but they fell off the point. I know what you're saying right now, Twitch chat.
They realize.
They know.
Yeah, we forgot.
We see 9, boys. That's the way it is. It's not quite the same.
They're right behind you, actually.
Yeah, like I care.
Okay.
Maybe gods will sit on me. God help me.
Hope you're sturdy, Mitch.
Like old.
Yeah, even in chat in game that we can see, leuKeEe's like C9 and zappis is like, oops.
Okay, well, like first of all, not what you want. They only had a minute to work with. I actually think they're making good progress, but the problem is, and this is why hymzi brought that Roadhog in, because he knows he can quell a push from a dive comp by picking off something important like a Tracer or a Genji. That's going to stop them in their tracks.
He killed Davin on the Tracer with not even a hook. He just left-clicked him. Because he was that close.
That is what he does, actually.
Yeah, so like...
He prides himself on his right-click accuracy.
Yeah, and if you're Davin in this situation, if you're a Tracer player, a Roadhog should be perfect for you because it gives you so much ult so quickly. And as long as you dodge that initial hook, if you play in the right zone, the distance away from him, then you really can't die to it normally. But that's a little bit unfortunate for Davin. I don't know if it's maybe land nerves because we haven't even talked about, you know, how many times this is the first time these people have been playing at LAN in front of a crowd, seeing the other team right across from you.
Well, right now it's like it's a glass case, and then me and you looking at them like stun mullets.
Like Red Zoo.
Yeah, that's right. I'm just we design off the players as they go. That's right. I mean, that's exactly what it feels like. But of course, it's an isolated environment, and now NIP. All they need to do is get 1/3 capture progress on this first one. That's it. 1/3. And they will have claimed this first map. This is one of their best. Let's see how they come in. hymzi's on the DV yet again, but it's probably no surprise to see this 2-2-2 for NIP. It seems to be almost their comfort on attack.
Yeah, it's either trip tank or 2-2-2 is generally where they're going to sit for. You're not really going to see them running dive too much here, though. Fragi can obviously flex over to the Winston, but it comes down to the hero pools of the rest of the team here. And zappis has been able to take away the high ground above here, Pox, which has to be very careful. But speaking of that, man, he has 3 people on top of him to keep him alive. As long as zappis can keep distracted here, keep in this tight area, there's no chance for Cyclowns to hold this one off.
Now, and Davin at least is able to get into the back line and pick off Zuppehw, but it's just a reciprocal trade. Both teams lose. There's Zenyatta's early on in the fight, and Fragi's more than happy to stand forward. You can see it on the screen. zappis is working at right angles to the rest of NIP just to be a pain in the neck and try and flank them through here. Davin almost got hit through the wall there. I don't really know what the deal was supposed to be there. Pulse bomb. Was Destro does get that D-suit here, and NIP, they're jockeying back and forth. It's quite an interesting fight. Another team really wants to commit too much. Pulse bomb claims Fragi. hymzi tries to drop down and isolate the supports out of this fight. mafu, it's attack visor in over the top here, but everyone's making themselves scarce, and there's a big monkey in his way.
Really surprised considering how they opened things up too. And initially with zappis picking up quite a few kills here. Pox, if hymzi can get this kill, eliminate any sort of transcendence, that'd be huge for him, but the team does turn around in time. Krytox flex over the Zarya does help quite a bit. And this triple takes up, but they're now running here defensively. Really edges on a lot of communication between Davin and Pox and how Davin can avoid being picked off here. But I mean, they still have, what, 2 minutes and 50 seconds of time. They still have quite a few different attacks here. And if hymzi gets his self-destruct ready to go, that could be pretty much the game.
I mean, I've seen like 5-minute opportunity squandered here for attacking teams. If you missed the Yikes versus Selfless game in Monthly Melee, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That was nuts. Anyway, NIP going to come back in. They've got a Transcendence. Self-Destruct comes in to start the fight. Now you put the enemy Reinhardt in a lose-lose situation, or the Winston, should I say. mafu cleans up Krytox. That's pretty big now. With the Transcendence coming out after the fact, that's just more win for NIP. Yet, kyynel gets picked off here by Destro in the backline, and Davin is still at large. There's a pulse bomb available here. He's looking for a bigger target, but he's running towards Zuppehw. He gets taken down. It's a big hitbox in that Zenyatta. Tough to escape a Tracer, and Davin's looking for more, but his pulse bomb gets eaten by hymzi, and now he's going to have to back away. This might be it.
And Fragi actually goes for the Earth Shard directly on a Destro, and that's going to do it. NIP's going to pick up the first map here on Eichenwalde and be up 1-0, I guess, in total, since we're not doing it by individual map basis.
No, it's
not series basis.
It's 1-0. Think of it like a football game. You can draw. I mean, it's been interesting from NIP. It's a Farah, but no mercy. I like this. Okay, this is really interesting. So they're going to have this Zenyatta come in there. That was almost a pretty nasty concussion blast, but No one was claimed by that one here as well. So what's the response for Cyclowns now? Obviously not a heck of a lot to deal with this Pharaoh, with the exception of Krytox, of course, getting a Discord orb on that zappis and picking him up. But No Mercy is super interesting here that we've still got kyynel on that Lucio and Zuppehw on the Zenyatta.
And if you're Zappis in this situation, you have to play really careful because you have Krytox on the Soldier, which I know he's actually a fantastic soldier just from playing against him in ranked, but he has no way of getting any sort of burst healing. There's no Ana, there's no Mercy to actually give him large chunks of health extremely quickly, or depending on this Orb of Discord to be on you, and not necessarily in range of your Lucio's healing. So it's really difficult to play a fair in this situation, though he's been doing a fantastic job so far, trying to play, maybe on the high ground, using these buildings to his advantage to give him some sort of cover.
I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing Zuppehw play the Mercy here as well, because he's getting pressured very hard by Davin. You saw him get picked off earlier on there. And with Zappis going down early, which, yeah, Tracers can kill Pharaohs if they fly low enough to the ground, that's an issue for NIP. They need to wait. Zappis switching off it. I don't know. There's a lot to be said for, pairing that Pharaoh up with the Mercy. Going with it on its own seems interesting. But Zappis now goes over the Tracer, and Fragi's going to jump straight on in here as well. Orbit Discord is on Luki. He's gone so very low, needs to get out. But no, it's going to be too late. Fragi drops in as well. CrusaDe taking damage. They're pushing Cyclowns straight out at this point.
Actually, I'm kind of confused why they gave this one up, because they had the first fight advantage. They have ultimate advantage, and yet they've given this one away completely because Luka gets caught out early on as he was unable to really jump away in time. And Zappis actually multiple times trying to come in from these odd angles to catch people off guard so he doesn't get focused down, so he doesn't actually get chipped away yet. So you can do what he does best, is just pick up kills. But they're going to hold on to the point. Obviously, you're going to look at this as Luka, he wastes his ultimate, but actually just trying to buy as much time as possible, get as much percent built up as possible here before the point does turn over.
It's funny. It's now become... It's got to a point now where trading your Primal Rage for 4% on the stall is fine. Cyclones want to do this, and they want to do this all day. This is the meta right now. If you win that first fight, just leak player by player onto the point. Don't care if you give ult percentage, doesn't matter. Look at them, 57, 58% now. The partition in the middle of that point makes it hard for hymzi to claim kills with their self-destruct, but he finds Krytox anyway. There's still a D.Va on the point.
It's like
Tox is off towards the side.
Already.
Yeah, they've used a sound barrier as well. They're investing ultimates in this stall, and then IP are investing ultimates in trying to break the stall. So that means that there's not a huge ultimate disadvantage that Cyclones are conceding, even though they are doing so to stall this point out. 77%, this is nuts.
And it means when NIP finally does get the point, they're not going to really have that many ultimates to hold with anyways. So, but 82%, so we're looking at 30, 40% that built up for them off of the back of that. Before NIP has the opportunity to cap it, and Luka coming back in again is going to stall for more time.
Sort it out, NIP.
So we're 44, 45 to 89%?
Yeah, but look at what's on the team, right? You've got Winston, Xayah, D.Va. They're not bursting anyone down.
Yeah.
Zappis can burst some targets down, but you don't necessarily have much shock and awe potential there. You don't really have like Pharaoh, you don't really have a McCree busting hands off, you don't have a Roadhog to hook people in, so it can be hard to just wipe a team off. There's not that potential that's present. Graviton Surge comes out here, and Zappis does get the big bang combo. 3 kills go into that. That was just inside the point, off towards the far side from where you're seeing right now. Luki goes off the edge. There's no point fighting after that combo's hit. NIP at least had those ultimates to go with, but again, they spent that. They've got a transcendence here for the next fight, but it's 89 to 31. They've got so much catching up to do.
I was actually a little bit surprised that they used the pulse bomb there, because I feel like they could have picked up those 3 kills without it, but nonetheless, they invested into it. They have double support ultimates available, so they can stall for some time. kyynel's got to be really quick on his sound barrier if he wants to stop any sort of pulse bomb from landing. But Pox
get wrecked.
Takes down Zappis, and they're already a man down here. NIP, I don't think they can hold the point now.
This has happened so many times. Pox, that's not the first time he's picked him off. He's also picked mafu off in that earlier map. But Fragi now also knows he needs to stall this point out with that Primal Rage. When I was talking about burst earlier on, Davin has it. He picks off mafu pretty comfortably. Luki now going to come in with his Primal Rage, and he just completely pastes up here across the wall. There's nothing the Zenyatta player can really do about that. And now self-destruct onto the point. That's to zone, but Cyclones can move back onto the point now and recap it back in their favor. Now it's getting dangerous for NIP. They're 92% and NIP are missing 3 players. They might not even be able to get back to the point before this is over.
And they stalled Zappis just for a couple of seconds here. The Tactical Visor being used as well. All I have to do is just jump some man onto it. It's going to be Frag, who just barely makes it in the nick of time, but no one can be there to follow him up with. Davin takes him down. Now the overtime's taken away. Finally, they get kyynel and another man in there, but the kills are going all blue here. And NIP are looking to lose out on Lijang Tower on Garden.
Oh, it's a disaster. It's a catastrophe. It's the Cyclowns going to bring back the first round here. And I say that because NIP realistically got stalled out for a good 89% from losing the first fight. And this is why people are saying right now in control point maps, especially Lijang and Nepal, winning that first fight is very important. A lot of teams realize now they can just keep a player on that point. They can stall it out. They can, I wouldn't say abuse the mechanic, but they can, use it.
I mean,
the pressure.
Look how it all transitioned from the beginning to the end. So they got the first point, right? They held on to it. They threw ultimates at it as much as they possibly could. NIP had to respond by throwing ultimates just to take the point finally. Then we get to the point where they're at 89% and NIP are about 10-15%. If NIP lose that fight, which they have to commit every ultimate to prevent themselves from doing, they lose. If they throw every ultimate into it and then lose the fight or lose the fight right after, then they have no ultimates to retake the point back with. And Cyclowns will obviously have the opportunity to build up more and more and more. So it's kind of this awkward downward spiral for you on Control that teams need to figure a way around.
It takes some theory crafting, doesn't it?
Does,
It even takes some theory crafting to explain the damn thing, but it is what it is. So Cyclowns going to come back in now as well. A very much a similar composition as we saw previously. NIP, much the same for them. Mafu made a late switch to Zaire at last map. He's staying on the 76 now. This first fight is so important. If that last map wasn't an indicator, I don't know what is. And you can see that for the most part, Cyclowns are using this high ground. They're using this fast side of the map here, but Davin gets picked off early by kyynel. That means NIP. It's a huge advantage for them now to push forward. They've got the Reinhardt as well, but destro through the shield finds kyynel. It's a 5 for 5, but at least Mafu can try and back in on this 76. Now forced into a duel around the corner. Oh, okay. Hits the Helix rocket. I think both players do, but destro kills himself with it. NIP win the first fight.
Mafu lives with like 1 HP off the back of that. Damn, he got really lucky on that one. But I'm actually trying to pay attention a little bit more to how zappis is playing this one as well as Davin. And I feel like zappis has more pressure on him from Pox than Davin does from Zuppehw. And I don't know if that comes from just the experience of Pox playing the projectile game, playing Genji normally, because zappis cannot just get around as fluidly as he wants to. He always has this Zenyatta discording him and always trying to spot him out and trying to right-click him around corners.
It could also be that maybe zappis isn't pressuring Pox as well. I mean, the fact is that
he's trying, he just can't do it because he dies.
Maybe he's just got more freedom to move as well.
Yeah.
That's a huge thing to maybe take note of here. Zuppehw definitely doesn't seem like the more aggressive of the two. But NIP hold the point for now. They've got attack Pfizer to come in later on. There was a Transcendence used earlier in that fight there by Zuppehw. That's fine. Cyclone's going to fight back in now. Oh, that's not ideal. The bubble was up there as well. The Earth Shatter did not connect from Fragi. And now it's going to be a sound barrier from Cyclones. They want to get aggressive, but Mafu just turns around. It's going to be the tactical visor, and Zuppehw picks off Davin as he's trying to get aggressive. Zappa's trying to hold off towards the side there. The pulse bomb thrown in, but it doesn't really stick. And I don't think NIP can stick to this point either after that.
Yeah, it's not good. The self-destruct just coming over the top. Destro does fall for this one. Zappis trying to delay the point, but he actually falls off it just a little bit too long, and they finally do cap it over here. So Cyclowns now are going to prevent maybe another 20-30% that could have been built up for NIP because of that slight mistake.
Yo, Pox, it just wrecks Zappis again, man. This guy is sick. Making a huge difference now as well. And maybe that explains a little bit of why Cyclowns moved him off the DPS role in this case.
I mean, he's getting a lot of kills in Zenyatta. I think maybe more than Krytox that we're actually seeing in terms of the kill feed. But the presence of a Zenyatta, like if you're playing Tracer, you have 150 HP. If he headshots you, you can pretty much just say goodbye. I feel like that, as we talked about earlier on, it limits how much freedom Zappis can have running around in this map. It limits maybe the amount of kills or the targets that Zappis can focus down in time. And Pox, this confidence, I don't know if it's maybe a good game for him or if he's just always as good in the Zenyatta, is really helping carry Cyclowns here on the Control.
Destro coming in from above now, Jason. Attack to advisor in, but NIP already in position on the point. In fact, they do want to take it now. That's why the Transcendence comes out here. Zuppehw's trying to facilitate their pushing on towards the point, but Destro cleans Mafu up. A direct hit from the Helix rocket is going to get the job done. And with Fragi falling right after that, it's done and dusted for NIP. They've got to get ready for the next round.
Yeah, Zappis is going to have to back away here as Davin's just trying to go for the chase on him and kyynel. Pox does take down Zuppehw again. So I think in terms of Zen v Zen, I think Pox is 100% winning.
I think we've established that now, I think.
Many times.
We've said it a couple of times. Cyclowns are looking really good. I mean, again, it's a mixed team, but they've definitely had to, really throw in all together to make it to this event to even play. Krytox has got the Dragon Blade here, and there's also a sound barrier there just to make it a little bit more safer here. So we'll see what they can do. We actually see a lot.
He knows he has a time frame here. He knows he has a time frame because he has to go before these support ultimates are available. And he knows Zuppehw uses just prior, and kyynel has no chance of having it available. And he gets himself an easy double kill. They did pop a Transcendence out of Pox. Actually, the sound barrier is CrusaDe, so I'm curious why they invested double support ultimates when Krytox got that kill, and there was no ult speed to use against him. So it must have been Zappis maybe focusing on Pox, maybe him and Mafu together, which forced a trance out of him just because he wants to stay safe.
It's fine. I mean, look at this. It's the last fight now, and NIP don't have a lot of ultimates to bring into this fight. Yes, the tactical visor from Mafu, but this must make all the difference now. It's not going to be enough. It's going to be too late. Mafu doesn't even get to the point. He picks up CrusaDe, but he was elsewhere. And the Cyclowns are 2-0 up here on Lijang Tower.
Wow.
And NIP, the monkey of control point maps, apparently still on their back, beating away with its tiny fist, trying to grab a chunk of Zappis' beard in his hand and yank it any which way. They definitely seem to be struggling on this game type still. These guys have had time to practice. I think the issue also has been that they've said they didn't feel like they had a lot to play for until recent announcements, and of course, you know, the TakeOver was announced and all that kind of stuff. So, but again, this is not what the Kings of the North should be showing. And I guess maybe that title needs to be moved on. Maybe it already has. Maybe I'm living in the past, Trace. I don't know anymore.
Looking back with rose-tinted glasses about the NIP that we knew back in the day of how amazing they could be. I mean, to be fair, we also looked at Fnatic or reUnited and eUnited the same kind of way since we cast them back in the Battlefield days. But I don't know, I would like to see some like triple DPS comps out of NIP. I feel like they have the tank meta down so well, but when it comes to just raw aim, like raw talent in that kind of aspect of picking up kills and maybe outsmarting someone in a one-on-one situation, maybe they're lacking a little bit more. Because the teamwork is definitely there, but the individual like brilliance, I don't think we've necessarily seen from any individual player.
Yeah, I don't even know if that was really a calling card of NIP in the first place, but the round starts off and Krytox tries to get a little bit cute to deal with mafu, but he picks him up pretty confidently. So this would be the second round consecutively that NIP win the first fight and get that first capture. And they do that. So now it's a matter of holding on to that. Maybe they don't grasp, you know, how best to stall this out. We noticed that Cyclowns were a lot more effective at doing so. Like, look at this. Zuppehw's been threatened so much as well by Davin as well. He's had a tough game, and I'm surprised he's still on that Zen, you know, on some of these maps.
Well, we've seen Cyclowns just on Eichenwalde before, how much they protect their supports. Because we saw Destro playing the D.Va, sitting back, making sure to keep his supports alive. We saw even iuKeEe doing it as well. So maybe Cyclowns are just giving Pox a little bit more freedom, a little bit more protection in general that Zuppehw's just not getting, since he's used to playing, I guess, kind of by himself.
Yeah, I mean, zappis tries to go in for the assassination kill on towards Pox. It doesn't work out. He doesn't get the damage done. There was a defense matrix in the way, and then he doesn't really stick the pulse bomb. Kind of important there as well. Maybe he's afraid of it getting sucked up into the future dice. And
I wonder for Zuppehw in particular, since he's used to playing Ana, maybe he's used to being self-sufficient. Because obviously as Zenyatta, you can't really heal yourself unless you're out of combat and your shield regens. Maybe he's used to that kind of aspect of having an escape mechanism and not necessarily playing with the team as much. But in the meantime, we're seeing Tac Risers pop, we're seeing Trance as well, and we're going to see Krytox go in with the Dragon Blade, give himself that initial kill, but anything more than that is going to be a little bit unlikely.
He forced that ultimate pretty easily out of Zuppehw, though. It didn't really take too much there for Cyclowns to draw that out. zappis fell down, Krytox went, and that's going to be the Graviton Surge. Now, Fragi, a backwards Earth Shatter. No, I just don't really know if he nailed that one, I'll be honest with you right now.
No,
he tried to aim it forward, but at that exact time, I think there were two flankers behind him, so it looked weird. Anyway, it didn't hit anyone. That's the main point.
Well, it doesn't seem to matter because they've taken the point back in the meantime, even though being pulled in with the Graviton Surge, and CrusaDe is going for a nice fall here towards the lower end.
Peace.
And we'll be him down, but look at Destro's energy actually, about 70, 80 energy. I wish we could see his average energy this game. Because we talked about burst damage before out of the team, and obviously Zari can't provide a lot of burst damage if you're very high
energy. That's a MacGyver explanation, I guess I sort of developed at the time. It's only one potential reason, right? Why NIP was struggling, this is what we're saying, dealing with the stall from Cyclones. But now they're going to come straight through in the middle of the map. Another missed pulse bomb from zappis. Stick that stuff, man. Come on. Doesn't land it. Krytox finds Zuppehw now, and they're going to make their way in on towards that point. It's 64-44. Now the contest. hymzi gets desuited. Oh, wait, no, actually goes for the ultimate there. I didn't see that. He gets his mech back now at full health. He can rejoin the fight.
Oh, no.
He's hoping for a big boop there, but he didn't find it. Good charge. And Fragi going to go down.
Yeah, the thing is, you can't really back out in that position the way that NIP did, because you could easily be knocked off the map. And it kind of makes you play really cautious to where the enemy Lucio player is going to be. But nonetheless, they still pick up the kills. And again, Davin, like, we kind of criticize him a little bit on Eichenwalde, but he's playing pretty well. Like, the fact is, he's not dying to Zuppehw most of the time. He's not really dying into anyone in particular anymore since that first map. So just staying alive causes this presence that Zuppehw just can't deal with on his own.
Well, now it's going to tick up a bit more. 86% already for NIP here, and Cyclowns are pushing fairly far forward. They've got some big ultimates to deal with, and Destro's not that far away from a Graviton here. That's going to be mafu's tac visor, but who's he firing at? The entirety of Cyclowns are completely disengaged. The ultimate gets minimal, if any, value, but Fragi at least hits a big damn Earth Shatter straight down. It's going to be Destro Pox to fall. mafu trying to come back in towards the point and deal with iuKeEe here, and Krytox gets that kill, but it may not be enough. Maybe to stall is the name of the game right now.
Yeah, I mean, they're probably going to get 100% or 99% off the back of this one. They just get relatively close, but I'm a little bit confused at the moment, because obviously you point out zappis isn't really hitting any pulse bombs. It's just very difficult to do in this situation. I would actually like to see hymzi maybe playing a Roadhog. Give him more kill potential here, because they're just not able to pick up the kills, or at least have that one person who can pick off someone, because Zappis is struggling so much with pucks, to give them that way into the point.
I'm just not seeing the pick-up. I'm not seeing Zappis take this game by storm. Here comes the grab surge, though. Destro going to pull many of them in there. Davin only gets 1 kill with that pulse bomb. Soundberry even used for Cyclowns. Why not get rid of all the ultimates now this fight comes in? hymzi gets that 1 kill with the self-destruct, but it's going to be a struggle for NIP to stay back in this CrusaDe fight in Zuppehw. Most of the damage done by Davin. Now hymzi going to get taken out of his suit or into overtime. CrusaDe with a boop on hymzi to get that finish off. The flip comes back, and now Cyclowns can get there, 99%, and one more big fight to come, Jason. Not many ultimates.
Not any really for NIP, but we're going to have Krytox with the man to watch potential in this one at 93%. If he can get his blade up and going with kyynel already going down, Davin securing that major kill, eliminates the one support. Mafu is finally able to respond, but he's got Krytox on his face to actually back away from this one. Gets taken out by the Dragon Blade, and just like that with 3 quick kills coming in for Cyclowns, I think they've done it. I think they've been able to take here on Lijang Tower and tie things up at 1 apiece.
Mate, Zuppehw's not even interested in trying to walk on towards the point. He knew he was done at that point. Overtime ticks down, and yes, Cyclones claim the second map of this series. A clean 3-0 on Lijang Tower.